I think there's one thing that I would like to point out based on what Rahul Gandhi said in his press conference, right? Where he asks the press, where do you think these assets came from? If they claim Congress hasn't done anything for 70 years, where do you think it came from and all of that? The whole point is that whatever they've done was so inefficient that now the current government is finding ways to utilize it. That's the thing that he needs to take away from this.
Namaste everybody, welcome to Chitti Media. This is your host Sharan Sethi. Recently, Government of India, the Ministry of Finance, announced a very interesting plan. The plan is to monetize national assets for about for a tune of 6 lakh crore rupees or about $80 billion. And to discuss that with us today, we have Gautama Godaji. He is a tech entrepreneur, the founder of OpenApp, and he's also associated with the RSS National Media wing of the environment team. Thank you so much, Gautamaji, for joining with us.
Thank you very much, Sharan. The pleasure is all mine.
How are you? I hope you're safe because you've been doing a lot of COVID work. So I just want to make sure that you're safe.
With God's blessings, yes, I've stayed untouched. With during the pandemic and everything, and I'm very happy that I've been able to escape through, but still been able to do some good work as much as I can.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. It's so heartening to hear that from you. Now, with your permission, if I may move on to my first question, sure. There's a lot of conversation happening around how the government plans to sell, quote unquote, sell national assets, and of course, it's a big misinformation that's going around. Now, before we get into the detail of the criticisms of the entire plan that is there at hand, could you in brief tell us about what the government intends to achieve by monetizing such national assets?
First of all, Sharan, what I would like to clarify here is because there is so much going around about this, and of course a lot of hearsay about how the government is selling off the crown jewels of the country and all of that. Right. Those are all absolutely false statements, right? It is very, very clear. It is a national monetization pipeline, which is being made with the intention of utilizing, or rather proper utilization of brownfield assets. We'll come to what brownfield assets mean, but basically underutilized assets being now upgraded, or things that have not been fully utilized either during past governments or even during the current government's term. The whole idea is to bring the private public partnership model into play, and somehow get them to generate revenue fee. Now, a good way for our listeners to understand this model would be think about Airbnb, right? Airbnb is a classic example. Airbnb as a company is today as large as it is by allowing normal people to actually utilize their underutilized assets.
Right.
An extra room in their home, or a holiday home that they haven't used, they upgrade it a little bit. They provide better convenience and they charge people for it, right? And people that come in and use those services are also happy with the services. So this is a win-win. It's a very similar model, and it's an easier way to probably understand this, in my opinion. So this whole thing about that the Congress and the opposition parties is claiming about the government selling off these crown jewels, again, quote unquote, is absolutely false, right? And why is this plan so important today? Is the most important question. Like you yourself said, 6 lakh crores is not small change. It's a lot of money.
Right.
To again give some context to our listeners, 6 lakh crores is actually 1/6 of the entire country's budget, right? So this year's country's budget is, if I'm not wrong, 34 lakh crores, right? Which is approximately 1/6. And if the government is actually doing something as ambitious to go ahead and figure ways out to bring in more money into the system, to actually do that without selling off assets, which has always been the norm generally, right? It's something to be applauded. And another argument that I've heard in conversations over the last 3 days is how people say, we've always known this. People have given out 99-year leases. Government gives out 99-year leases,
Yes.
right? To educational institutions, etc., and it never comes back, and so on. But if all those people that are saying it just need to go back and look at what the government is saying, it's very clear with its agenda. It is saying most of these plans are going to be 30-year plans, right? With an option to renew for another 30 years, now based on XYZ criteria. We will not get into the details of that because,
Right.
which is not necessary at this point, but it's very clear. So yeah, I think it's a very, very ambitious move, a move that is very relevant in today's terms. And this is also being linked to the national infrastructure pipeline, which is
Right.
why becomes so important at this crucial time.
Right. Absolutely. But if there is a problem that the government is tackling, it is the sentiment that, like you rightly said, the sentiment of these assets being crown jewels, and the opposition is somehow harboring on that sentiment. How, to what degree do you think this sentiment actually is resonated with the common man, or do you think the general public actually supports such forms of privatization?
See, there is one absolute problem that I think I would personally have with the way, or with the way, uh, unfortunately, we have our opposition parties in place, right? Because
Right.
initially they had a problem with demonetization. Now they have a problem with monetization. My question to them is, as a startup founder, very practically thinking, right? I myself am an entrepreneur. Opposition is great, and the reason opposition needs to exist is to still drive the guys in power towards a common goal, and that common goal needs to be the development of the country, right?
Right.
Development of the nation for our people, etc. Not coming in and making blatant political statements. What I would still like to hear from the opposition party is to come out and say, right, you guys are doing these things, but there could be, say, XYZ pitfalls, because
Mhm.
no plan is flawless. Has never been, right?
Absolutely.
Like if you, and I'm saying this as an entrepreneur, as a person running a company, that when we say make POCs, MVPs, POCs are proof of concepts, or MVPs are minimum viable products, right? The whole idea is to test something out, test out the theory, and then start scaling it. And if we do this at such a small scale for a company, this is the world's largest democracy we're talking. And if the
Right.
government has the guts, and if I may say the balls, to actually attempt something like that, I would expect the rest of the country and the rest of the opposition to actually give them a chance.
Right.
Now, I think I might be even cooking up some controversy by saying this, but I don't think that that demonetization was a failure. The way it was implemented might not have been the best. And yes, I understand they were still in their first term. There were a lot of things that they had to learn. But if they hadn't done it as quickly as they did, it probably would never have happened.
Right.
And what are the implications of that? Again, I will bring my startup entrepreneurial perspective to the table here and say, today you have to that. That I will let me not go yet touch the common man.
Yeah.
$1 billion companies that have sprung out of that single decision. Not just fintech companies. The amount of commerce that exists in the country today, the amount of billions of dollars flowing into the startup ecosystem from outside the country, is because today everything is accountable.
Mhm.
Before demonetization, has had the comfort of walking out of your home without a wallet,
Right.
right? And, and I don't even care. I just need my phone. I can walk into Taj West End. I can go to a Thela guy and buy 1 kg of mango.
Right.
All of them will still accept a certain mode of payment. And so,
Yes.
a lot of these things are long term, right? You need sufficient time for things to play out. Even with the monetization plan, the reason I linked it to this is all those naysayers are, as the opposition has to do, is always going to look for things that didn't work. But if they just look at the things that did, you will be astonished as to what all it has done for people.
Right. I think there's a lot of truth to what you say, because I think, again, talking about the characteristics of the opposition and in principle what they oppose and what they preach is different. Why I'm saying is that if you're talking about states that are excessively socialistic, right, like West Bengal or Kerala, of course, the opposition to industry and privatization is much more in some of these states than compared to, say, the rest of India, like
Correct.
states of Karnataka, Maharashtra, or Gujarat, even, right? But there are a few other parties, like the Indian National Congress, for example, who have depended on the nationalization of assets in the past. The Mumbai Pune Expressway is one of the biggest example, and Pune's
Exactly.
success story sort of lifted off from there. So now, in that sense, is this the first time that something like this is happening? And what is the reason behind the government's move?
The reason behind the government's move is very clear. See, we need to, if we have to move towards being a $5 trillion economy, right? These are all steps that we have to climb. And nobody said that everything is going to be successful or a certain, you can't attach a percentage of success to something, right? You have to give time for it to be implemented. And you basically need to understand whether their intent is right behind all this. Is the intent behind this right? Yes. And I can guarantee to you that the maximum amount, the highest percentage of this population is going to agree to that as well. Right? Say, for example, why is this being done? Like how Rahul Gandhi claimed, is this being done to feed Mukesh Ambani, Adani? Although he didn't name them, it is clear that that is whom he meant. But is it being done for that? No. This is open for all. This is in fact being done to bring in more foreign capital, which
Right.
is absolutely necessary. Like I told you, the whole scale, just look at it, 1/6 of the entire GDP. Is it ambitious? 100% it is ambitious. Do you need a leader that is going to be as ambitious as that? Yes, you need a leader like that.
Mm-hmm.
You want another leader who's not going to make a move, who is going to sit back and watch whatever we have been, which is anyway the kind of uh, life we've lived in the country before this, right? So I feel that the general population is also going to absolutely welcome this. But of course, the problem here again is the fact that the opposition is going to try to derail people. That is the problem. Derail them only purely for political motives. That is where I find this huge flaw. Do it with the right intent. If you want to call out something that's being done, do it with the right intent. But that's not being done.
Right. Absolutely.
So let's take, for example, I think there's one thing that I would like to point out based on what Rahul Gandhi said in his press conference, right? Where he asks the press, where do you think these assets came from? If they claim Congress hasn't done anything for 70 years, where do you think it came from and all of that? The whole point is that whatever they've done was so inefficient that now the current government is finding ways to utilize it. That's the thing that he needs to take away from this.
Right.
Take, for example, the stadium that is named after his grandfather, that is now being used for better purposes. In my opinion, which is Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Delhi, is one of those assets that they intend to, uh, you know, uh, bring into this pipeline. And today we have seen this. We've just gotten over the Olympic, uh, uh, you know, uh,
Yes.
uh, energy, right? And we all, the whole country came together. One gold made the difference. Where do you think that came from? You need a government, you need leadership that's going to push these things forward. You need somebody coming in and saying, you know what, through the triple P model, I'm going to allow privatization in a way that it is going to help more sports people, in a way that it is actually going to improve the facilities that is being given. Can the government not do it? Not necessarily, right? That's not how it is done. Has the government been able to do the best out of all their assets that lie today? No. These brownfield assets, that is why these are brownfield assets, not greenfield assets. Again, because I didn't mention what they mean, greenfield assets are basically new projects new assets being created. Brownfield projects are basically underutilized. Take, for example, a classic example would be, say, an old palace, right? Somewhere that is lying underutilized. You go pick an ITC or an Oberoi, you call one of these guys and ask them to spruce it up a little bit and convert it into a hotel. Now, does it, one, make the property better? Because, and does it figure ways out to make more money? Yes. And beyond that, all these brownfield assets also have a cost of maintenance, which the government is bearing today.
Yes.
Also knocking off those liabilities, you're putting it on somebody else's shoulder to weigh that in, right? Plus, when this is being done, there was another conversation around how this is probably also not in the best interest when it comes to employment. I don't think that is at all.
Mhm.
Uh, because when private players come in, they start paying private company salaries. We all know what happens with government salaries, right? And how much the government can pay. So I don't think that is the case. And with some of these assets, especially with how the central government intends to is also incentivizing state governments to
Absolutely.
about their PSUs.
I mean, an example from Bangalore is itself the National Games Village, I think, in
Yeah,
Kormangla, huge piece of
exactly.
real estate which
Yeah,
is lying waste today. And I
yeah.
think the government did have a plan, but not sure about the progress that it actually made on that front. That brings me to my last question. As an entrepreneur, you've obviously seen the pitfalls of the industry as well. So you know how to conceive a project, you know how to sustain through it. So in that sense, what are the limitations of the monetization plan? What should the government be cautious about?
See, I think the biggest factor, in my opinion, that they'll have to sort of cover for is there is no clear clause on dispute resolution at this point,
Right.
right? Because let me put myself in the shoes of, let's say, one of these companies that is going to have the opportunity to uh, pick up a property, right, or run this. If I had to do that, I'd like to understand that if things go wrong, where do we draw the line? How will you help me resolve
Mhm.
this? I think one thing that this current government has to be a little more mindful of and has to play this really tactically, especially with NMP, is in see what does industry always need? It needs transparency. It needs quick decision making, which this government has been able to do in a far better manner than previous governments. But still, when you have such huge ambitious plans, it's a lot of money. I think they'll have to put in a little more effort on figuring out these nitty gritties, and that will make a huge difference, huge difference. Because currently, like I said, that one point that might be a huge deal breaker for a large industries, because they are going to come in and say we are going to do something for the next 30 years or 60 years, right? What if it doesn't go as per plan? Like we all know the kind of world we live in, right? The pandemic has shown us how really nothing all of our lives are.
Yes.
So things can change in a quarter. So how does the government intend to sort of help the company resolve a situation? How do they intend to sort of work side by side to not just get them on board, but actually manage them and take them all the way? That becomes a very critical aspect in all of these things. Just like
Absolutely.
in business we do when we do a B2B deal, we provide one specific point of contact. Or in banks provide relationship managers if to people above a certain grade, right? Which is basically special uh, consideration. If they can somehow figure out a way to bring such things in play, I think this can be a great success and a beautiful model, because this whole 6 lakh crore that we're talking about is through the central government. And if this is done well, then I think this can open doors to a lot of new initiatives that can come.
Absolutely. I think even the finance minister commented on it, saying that the reacquisition of such properties back from the private players will not be that big of an issue, and that the opposition is blowing it out of proportions. So we'll only have to wait and watch how this entire plan unfolds and how it succeeds, because
Absolutely.
an ambitious part of their plan is to monetize a lot of these assets by the end of 6 months to 1 year itself. And we'll only have to wait and watch how this works out for the government and for the country. But having said that, thank you so much for joining us today. Extremely interesting insights you've shared with us. And of course, we'll be inviting you for much more discussions. Gautamaji, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sharan. It was a pleasure meeting you as well. Thank you very much. You have a great.
And to all our viewers, please do like, share, and subscribe. We will be regularly bringing in updates about the economy and a whole different lot of topics. Until then, this is your host Sharan Sethi signing off.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.